Hey everyone!
So we've got just a few apricots here.
We are showing our last of the apricot picking season because we've been picking them pretty much daily from the ground over the last 10 days. We've been making some different kinds of jam. We made apricot and Nespole jam with Luca's loquats, and we've made fig and apricot jam and a few others.
We've also been obviously eating them as well as fruit for breakfast and stuff. It's such a huge tree that different parts of the it's quite rare to have a tree this old in this area, especially because people
you can't get them.
You can't get them. You buy them, and because they've been genetically modified, they die. You know, you have to replace a chunk of your crop every 2 or 3 years. They don't last very long.
They last something like max 5 years.
Yeah, something like that. But this has been here for, well, we don't even know. But
we don't know.
It's definitely been here 50. For more. It's maybe 60 or 70 years, even more. But the point is that this girl is well established. She's got a root system in, and because she's facing, you know, she's got different aspects. The apricots have been ripening. You know, some one side falls or whatever, and then more fall the next night, and so on, etc. So we've just been picking them off the ground because we know they're fully ripe. And these are the last few that are just stood on the actual tree. So we're just going to pick off the very last remaining ones. We just got some there. Want to take those ones?
Just picked.
I've got a couple up here. There, for example. That one's gone bad. That one's good.
Yeah, I'll take him.
Bad one's going compost. Good ones can go to Francesca.
And we'll be making hopefully an apricot pie with this as well, custard pie, which is super easy to make. Super delicious. Lost one. And yeah, we won't be doing a jamming video. We've already done the jamming video now anyway.
Yeah,
you guys.
We've been jamming.
So yeah, we're going to try and pick the last. Hopefully we'll get a small crate, and maybe pick some figs as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
Ciao.
And here is Mummy Monkey.
Hello. I've got this little lone apricot that's saying, please pick me. Eat me for your dinner. And there's his friend here. There we go. Yay. So here we are in Apricot Forest. And we've spotted some apricots, funnily enough. We're trying to see how high we can climb on this tree because it's a nice solid tree. And there are loads of apricots up the top. So last time we were spotting little small red guys, and now we're trying to spot little orange fellas. And the day's cooled down, it's not too hot at all. So we are happily picking and eating. There's some more over there actually as well. We might pick some blackberries too and mix them together. All right, there's some beautiful blushed, lovely ones here which we're picking. They're so nice. Had to show them. They're picture perfect. There's a nice chunk over there which we're going to have to try and grab too. Hey guys, so these are the apricots that we've been picking. The smell is amazing from them. They really are gorgeous. I'll open one up. Oh my god. I'll have to eat this straight away. Look at that. Cheers.
And this is compost for next year.
Next year's juicy compost. Hello everyone. Today we're making jam with the Nespole that we got from Luca, with some of our apricots that are wind fallen, with the figs that we just picked now. So, and with of course some nice lovely lemons. We picked a lot of berries, but to be honest they look so good. I don't know if we can put them in jam, but we'll vibe it. So we'll let you know. This is so far what we've got. We'll make 2 kinds of jams. I'm thinking Nespole, which is in English loquat. So loquat. We'll go And have a little zoom in, see what you guys think of the loquats. They're looking a bit bashed and bruised because we put them in the fridge, which apparently makes them go brown. Does some reaction thing. And then we've got our seconda shelter, our kind of reject, even though they look great, reject apricots. And so we've got, how many kilos, Jeff? 14?
13 kilos.
So we've got a lot of kilos of these guys to go through. So yeah, we'll get the jars, we'll start chopping, get the jars, clean them, put them in the oven at 120 degrees for about 15 minutes. And let's start jamming. Hey everyone, today we're going to be using our apricots that we picked from our tree, and we're going to be doing something fun with them. We made a jam with the apricots and nespole, which are loquat in English, that you just saw. And now we're going to be using the kind of medium good ones to make a pie. Because the cool thing about pies and jams, when you're cooking your soft fruit, if they're not like 100% ripe, or they may be a little bit over, you can get away with it. So let's start making this pie. These are our ingredients. Our apricots, obviously, some eggs, some butter from a lovely dairy guys that we will visit one of these days. Fabrizio's fantastic, and he really is very much for the cows, and he doesn't take the babies away from their mummies. They stay with their mummies for 13 months, so they get far less milk, but such different energy coming off the milk and the butter, it's crazy. We have our salt, we're using pink Himalayan. We have our brown sugar, and we use gluten-free flour. We kind of make it up because, not that we're gluten intolerant, but we feel that with a lot of over-refined carbs and flours and grains, you just kind of poof up and you can get a bit, I don't know, a bit sleepy. And so we make this up. You don't have to do it. You can use totally normal flour. You can use spelt flour. You can use any flour. This is a mix of, I believe it's rice flour, tapioca, we've got a bit of potato in there. We've got, oh goodness, what else? We've got avena, which is oat flour as well. And I'm forgetting a couple of big ones. But Jack, can you help?
Riso.
I said rice.
Oh, you said rice.
I said rice, but there's a couple more. Anyway, we'll do that another day.
Nice.
Oh, and corn flour, of course, yes. We have our lemon, our nice little ugly Sicilian smelling amazing lemon. We've got our rolling pin for bashing any boys that come into the kitchen early to try and steal a bit of pie. And we have our pie case. So we're going to start with the base, really. That's the first thing you guys should make. I have about 500 grams of flour in here. We're not going to use it all. I don't really go by amounts, but I know people at home would probably like to. So I'm just going to kind of feel it out. It normally works out all right, guys, if you just trust and believe. I'm going to put a little bit of sugar in. I mean, that's probably around 300 grams of flour, maybe 50 grams. About 50 grams of sugar. I don't really like making the crust too strong, strongly sweet. I prefer it to be a little bit salty, so then the sweet guys on top can provide the sweetness. So I'm putting around about half a teaspoon of salt, maybe a little, yeah, about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. Himalayan salt is far less salty than normal salt. Then I'm going to take Fabrizio's butter, which is just wonderful, and it comes in a very odd round shape, which is a lot of fun. I'm going to put in quite a bit of butter. This is, I think this is 200 grams, so I'm putting in, it's 300 grams, sorry, so I'm putting in about 150, about half. And I'm going to add an egg, which I didn't normally do, but our neighbour Piera swears by putting eggs in the crust. So I'm going to take one egg, which I've taken out of the fridge, and I'm just going to chunk it in there. I'm going to try and do this as simply as possible, put that into the compost, and not make it too hard. So basically you're just going to be mixing all these ingredients together. You can use a whisk, you can use a spoon, you can even use one of those whisks that do things by themselves, those little kitchen slaves, but I always think it's nice to get your hands dirty. So I'm going to mix this and I'll show you what it looks like, and hopefully we'll cut to it already done. Okay, so ta-da! Magic. It has all been kneaded in, and I'm going to add my secret ingredient, which I love putting in pie bases. A little bit of citrus. Now I'm putting in lemon, but of course you could do orange. But we're now in the summer and oranges are not around too much. So just, oh my God, it smells so good. A little bit of lemon in there. I added actually a little bit more flour because it felt a bit too scroogey. What you want is you don't really want it to be sticky wet. You want your hands to be kind of clean when you take them away. So, a lot of people put this in the freezer and it's a good idea, and then they roll it out. But unfortunately, being as absent-minded as I normally am, I rarely remember to do that, and I'm always under pressure for time. So I'm going to give you guys a little cheat thing here, where basically I am going to directly make the pie crust, because it's so soft, just with my hands. It's just really easy, guys, and you don't even need to have a rolling pin. But the rolling pin that you have in the house, then you can use for naughty boys' bottoms who are sneaking into the kitchen trying to grab treats. Now I've got a little bit too much crust, so I'm going to save a bit that I might do something nice on top. So all I'm going to do is spread this out, and I'll show you what it's like when I'm done. All right, so I've spread it out. Now the cool thing about doing it this way is you don't have bits that have ripped and you have to kind of patchwork quilt it, and then when you're cutting a slice, half of it stays and falls off or whatever. Some people think this is not a clever way to do it because it's not as perfect and smooth, but I think it's actually easier. And if you want to still put it in the fridge, you can, but there's not really any need. Just do it roughly. There's no stress. A lot of people are kind of scared of baking. Oh God, I can't bake. It's so easy, guys. It's so easy. You just jump in, you feel it out, learn a few basics, and then you can have fun with it. So what we'll have to do now is we'll have to bake this, and we're gonna blind bake it. I don't know why it's called blind baking, but I think because there's no pie filling, so I can't see. Is that the eyeball of a pie it's filling? I don't know, answers on a postcard. So I've got my greaseproof paper, my baking paper. I'm gonna scrunch that up and then spread it around the pan. I've got my baking beans. Now these are just normal beans. There's nothing special about them, and just obviously not from a can cooked. These are dry beans, and you just want enough just to cover the surface, just like so, if you can see. And that's it. I'm going to cook this for not even too long, and I'll test it every so often, about 15 minutes max at the usual 180 degrees, which in Fahrenheit for you guys in America is going to be more. It's going to be a bigger number. What are you? Let us know in the comments. And that's it. So stage 2 will be baking this, and at the same time I'm going to be making the custard. All right, guys, we got to make the custard, and how do we do that? It's so easy. We don't need packets or fake cartons. It's really not complicated. I think a lot of time people in cookery shows overcomplicate things to try and make people feel too insecure to try on their own. You got to jump in and you got to try stuff out. Custard is so delicious when it's made from scratch, and it's super easy. So we're taking our milk, which is our Fabrizio's Fit Milk, with a big G for jar, because we pick it up every Thursday and it's amazing. And we're just basically, I've got half a litre, that should be perfect. And I'm just filling it in my Nonna's saucepan. So this is my Italian grandmother, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. And I was lucky enough to acquire, thanks to my mum, all of her lovely thick old pots that were maybe 50, 60 years old, and that she was a phenomenal cook. So all of her yummy energies in it. So not that I think she ever made custard, But yeah, I'm going to heat this up, and as soon, not boiling, but as soon as it's quite warm, I'm going to turn it off. Then over here, what am I going to do? I'm going to take these beautiful eggs, which are from our neighbour. She very kindly gifted these to us. And I'm just going to take the yolks. So I'll take these eggs out. I'm going to use probably 3 because I want it quite custardy. So I'll leave those brats there for a minute. And another easy thing to do is separating the egg. Everybody's always overcomplicating it and trying to make it too difficult for people, but it is not. You just bang. We want the white here. So we've just banged it. We're just halving it. It's probably even going to go wrong on camera, but it's not somehow. And we're just going back and forth, and then when the little wee guy is by himself, plop. So that's it. Super duper easy. I always check to see if you've got a bad egg as well, especially if you're getting them from farmers or local friends. Sometimes the egg could go off. I'm actually just going to take out that little not nice bit of egg. Okay, so because I want my custard to be smooth, and we've got one more. Now you can also put lemon in this. Okay. Oh, it's bad egg. What are the odds? Wow. What are the odds? So I'm just going to put that directly into the compost because I'm sure all the little guys that live in the garden will love that. Wow. Well, I'm going to have to use up one of you guys then. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. This one, I suppose. Yeah, he's a good guy. Oh, he's lovely. All right. So we've got our 3 fellas there. I'm going to just whisk them. It's really that simple. There's no, this is custard, guys. You're heating hot milk. You're whisking your egg yolks, and you're adding a little bit of, okay, you're adding a tiniest bit of salt. A lot of people don't do that, but I think just a small bit, nothing crazy, just a small bit. We're adding our sugar. So this is going to be roughly, again, I think around about 50 grams. You don't want a custard too sweet. About that. And then always taste, and then you'll know whether to add more stuff. And then of course you need the vanilla. Now I actually really like using vanilla extract that you can only get, well, we can only find one in England, but we don't go there very often anymore. So I've only got this guy. This is a kind of, this is supposed to be a paste. So you want to do a nice chunk of that. You don't want to be too skimpy. And that's it. So I'm just going to blitz this. Really have like some elevator music now. I think this is a real elevator music vibe. So you're going to whisk it until it goes a little pale. You can put in some lemon rind if you wish, some lemon zest. And then we're heating up the milk, and when the milk is hot, which you should see in about 2 seconds, I'm going to pour the milk and whisk it at the same time, and that's your custard done. All right, so this yolk, I don't know if you can see it, but it looks seriously yummy. It's really quite thick, so that is perfect. I'm gonna add a little bit of the zest from the lemon, just a small bit, nothing crazy. And the leaves are flying around. Okay, so now I have my hot milk. You can see steaming away. And all I'm going to do is pour it slowly into here while I'm mixing. It's not rocket science, guys. This is pretty easy. It's nice when you've got someone to help you. I'm going to attempt to do it on my own. So you don't want to cook the egg, that's all. That's it, it's looking good. Oh, I forgot to say I also add a little bit of corn flour in, or any flour really. That's it. Now I haven't even done all of the milk, but that should be enough. Smash. Okay, that's it. We're going to take our hand whisk now, or even a wooden spoon, and just pour the custard into here, back in the saucepan. And all we're going to do is heat it very, very low heat for just a few minutes until you can see it thickening up and it resembles the custard that you know and love. Okay, now it's time for the apricots. So we're cutting up all of the guys that were maybe a little bit under mature or a little bit over mature. They taste amazing. I'm just going to sneak a little piece now, actually. They're fantastic. We always eat most of them raw because they're so nice. But I really wanted to make this pie. And if you've got, we're doing a very rough and ready. We're trying to keep everything rough and ready because I feel there's a bit of an expert syndrome with certain videos where you watch and you think, oh my God, these guys are absolute experts. There's no way I can do that. And then we never do it because we feel all in our shell. Well, I'm not doing that. So this is going to be rough and ready, just like everything else on our channel. Obviously, ideally, if you wanted it perfect, I would pick apricots that are of similar size. These are not similar size, and I'm also cutting off bad bits, and they're going to look a bit gobbledygook, but it's going to taste the same. Like, it's going to taste amazing. At the moment, our blind baking is happening. It's going well, and our custard has just finished cooking. So basically, I'm going to get these done, get these all cut, and then it's time to start setting up the pie. All right, guys, this is fresh out the oven. This is our base. Now, what I did is I decided, because I made quite a thick base, I decided to take out my beans and just cook the middle for a bit longer. But if you've done this before, you know that then when you cook the pie, the top part, which has been exposed the whole time, goes very, very brown. So I also managed to break a few little pretty pieces off, but I'm actually kind of glad because I want you guys at home to try this and have a similar outcome. So we have our apricots are here and our custard is there. I've got one more apricot to cut. This is a lovely one, actually. It's pretty perfect. Oh, such a joy. That's great. That's a great amount of apricots. So I'm going to get the custard now. It's here. If you want, you can let it cool down, but nice hot custard going into the hot thing should be okay. Another little tip, what I do when I'm making a blueberry version of this is I actually put blueberry jam, homemade if you can, blueberry jam on the bottom first, then the custard, then the blueberries, and it's amazing. But I'm doing something slightly different this time because I'm going to be glazing it. So this is the custard. Put it in about, about there, because the apricots are going to be taking up some room themselves. And now I'm just going to be, as prettily as possible, I'm going to be popping these apricots all the way around. Now everyone has their own way of doing it, so you try and find yours. Some people like to overlap them. Some people like to make a nice pretty pattern. Some people cut them not in halves like this at all, but in thin strips and pile them, and that's really sweet as well. That's really nice. But we're just doing it as rough and ready as possible for you guys to see that there is no expert syndrome here. Baking is not hard at all. It's super easy. We've been doing it for hundreds of years, and it's time that you get baking yourself. So when I'm finished with this, I'm going to put it in the oven, and then when I take it out, I'm going to do the glaze, which is really fun on apple pies and tarts, fruit pies and fruit tarts, because the glaze is made from apricot jam normally, with a little bit of honey or lemon if you want to make it even nicer. And sometimes people put Cointreau in, or some kind of nice alcohol, and I am going to use over here, I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to use my homemade limoncello. So hopefully that will taste nice. So this is not looking as pretty as I wanted it, but it doesn't matter. So next time you'll see it fresh from the oven. Hey, we're losing the light. Oh my God, Jerry, we're losing the light. As Francine would say in our Here and Nows. If you haven't checked them out, guys, check out Francine. She's a genius, knows the answer to everything, and is totally sane, absolutely. So what am I doing? I'm doing the glaze. Now you don't need to do a glaze, but it's apricots, apricot jam with the Nespole that we made last week with Luca's Nespole with the loquats. So basically I'm making this glaze. Oh, before we make the glaze, the tin foil. I actually just I did 3 little skinny sheets and kind of smooshed them around the top bit, just in case you're wondering how I was not burning the crust and what I did with the tin foil. Number 2, I wanted to say that we looked it up, and 180 degrees is 356 Fahrenheit. Nice round number there for you guys to remember. So the pie's in there cooking for about, I mean, it's up to you, can do between 10 and 20 minutes. It depends how caramelized you want the apricots. It's totally up to you guys. And so making the glaze. The way I'm doing it, you can do whichever way you want, is I've got my loquat and apricot jam, and I've added, oh, that's the custard, leftover custard, and I've added this, which, if you can see, is lemon. Lemon, lots of thin, tiny little bits of lemon, which I cut up the lemon rind last year, and I made a limoncello. It's lovely. I made a few of these, and I've just added in a tablespoon into that. If you've got lots of small people in your house, yeah, a tablespoon is enough. If it's an adulty thing, you can put in maybe even 3, but you're tasting, you're trying it, you're seeing if it's good. I also added a tiny bit more sugar in because I felt that the jam wasn't quite sweet enough, and we haven't made the custard super sweet or the base. So I added in just a tablespoon of sugar. You can also add in lemon juice if you want, and as I said before, honey or agave, that's your choice. So basically this is it. We're at the end of the video, guys. The finished result will be there, but basically when the pie comes out in about 10 minutes, I'm just going to be painting the lovely orange, you can't see it at all, but this lovely orange type jam is going to be painted all over it, and then you choke. Oh my goodness, I swallowed some dust. And then, oh God, what's not? Oh my God. And then you keep it in the fridge for at least an hour or 2 until it's nice and cold, and serve it with some nice happy faces and friends. Hey guys, so fresh out of the oven is our apricot custard tart. It's rough and ready looking on purpose, so you guys don't have the expert syndrome stopping you from doing it. The smell, and you have to wait till it cools down. It's so hard. The smell is just phenomenal. It is so delicious, and it was so easy. You saw what I did. I just made the custard, put it in the pie crust, just threw the apricots in, and then I've just glazed it at the end, which you don't even need to do if you don't want to do. And I'm just so happy with it. I cannot recommend enough making and baking your own things. It just gives you such a, I don't know, a sense of satisfaction. You just feel good, especially if you're making it for friends and family, or maybe you're just eating it yourself, whatever you wish to do. So I hope this inspires you to get out there, get baking, get creative, and yeah, have fun.